Okay, hello there. Welcome to the stream. This is 2-4 flying, and we are flying from FedEx flight 402 from Memphis to Phoenix today. Shortly talk about the weather though. So weather-wise, what I looked at is we're gonna have some very high crosswinds, and expecting that a jet stream is gonna pass from the north. It's gonna cross right over underneath us, the center of it. So we're gonna have high crosswinds on the first part of our flight, which will turn into slightly less wind and more of a headwind when we get to Phoenix. Anyway, I'm a little thrown off by having missed my audio there. What else did I do? So I started my APU and I did all of my pre-flighting here. It's actually ready for engine start. I just requested a pushback and they're gonna give me the pushback truck when I tell them to come here. So the pushback truck is coming up now. So we're flying Fedex flight 402. It's a Flightfactor 767 in X-Plane 11. And we are parked in Memphis at the Fedex Super Hub. We're going to be taking off on runway 27, flying the DUX 5 departure all the way up to Hilar. Then from Hilar en route to Phoenix, where we will be doing the Eagle 6 RNAV arrival. Expecting to land on runway 7 left with an ILS. We're expecting the ILS runway 7 left in Phoenix. For some reason, my chart is not loading anymore. There it is. So as you heard now, the fuel truck is connecting to the airplane. And we have nicely our APU running. We are off ground power. We're not gonna be tearing any plugs off this airplane like it sometimes likes to do. Looks like my overhead is all ready to go. Let's take a look at the pushback truck here. Park and brake released. Starting first number 1, then number 2. So they're starting to push us back. I'm gonna grab the checklist so that I don't miss anything. Gonna go over to secondary engine indications to see all the data from the engines. Turn off both air conditioning packs. Go to the left engine start selector over to ground. Then we're gonna be looking on our display for N2 to rise. When it gets to 15, there it is, 15, I'm gonna introduce fuel by using this selector down here. We get light off, which means that fuel is actually burning inside the engine now, which means that we actually have N1 rotation, which is the low pressure turbine is being spooled up, which causes the low pressure compressor to also spool up, and that's why we get an N1 reading. So when the N1 gets to about 20%, we'll call that engine stable. It's getting to 11 now. Make sure that our EGT doesn't go above the red line for the start. In that case, I would have to switch off the fuel and abort the start. Getting up to 17 now, approaching 20 pretty shortly. And I get our right engine started. So right engine start selector over to ground. Looking for the same things. So we have N2 increasing. 15, then I'm gonna pull the switch, get fuel in there. Then the engine lights off. And we have N1 increasing. So the reasons why this audio stuff isn't really working out for me today is it's the first time actually that I'm using this exact setup. I've spent the entirety of
So it's
yesterday
disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the left. We'll see you next time. Have a safe flight.
Well, thank you very much for the push. Hand signal on the left, so we're waiting for to see him there. What I was saying is that this is the first time that I'm actually using this setup, and it's proving to be a bit more difficult than I'm expecting. There's our pushback guy, and he has our pins. We are also looking at a stable engine now. So engine start is completed. Before taxi checklist, let's get going here. APU can come off. Engine NTI is not required. Packs back on. Get air conditioning back. Isolation switches set. APU bleed air off. Flaps 15 for departure. 15 set transponder. Let's go. Imagine our squawk code is 2132. Go transponder to transponder. And that's actually all we need right now because we're not going to have any avoiding action on the ground. Turn on the taxi lights. And logo light is not required since we are beautifully during the day now. Before taxi checklist is complete, I'm gonna grab my taxi chart, the airport, and we're gonna see. So it's gonna be a left turn onto Sierra. Or not. Let's we're like this, left turn, and then another left turn to continue along Victor, and we're gonna be holding short of runway 27 at Victor 1. Okay, so we're ready to taxi. Parking brake is released. Get the engines a little bit of power going. Okay. Okay, I'm really happy that this is finally working out as I wanted. So as I was saying, I really upgraded everything in the setup a bit. I made everything neatly organized for me, which makes it less obvious that my audio wasn't working as it was. So tomorrow I am going to try to find something better to do about the audio thing. Because of course I want to get the best streaming experience that would be ever possible. Just for your guys' entertainment as well, and as least the least of a hassle for me, as less of a hassle as possible for me, because the reason why I'm streaming is not because it's just because I want to share what I'm doing right now. I'm flying flight sims anyway, and it just feels right to share it with everyone else that wants to see it, maybe. So we don't want to go over the runway. What we do want is to make a left turn and taxi on to Victor. So we are clear to the right, clear to the left. Those aircraft there, they don't match. So that's the one thing that I didn't get to fix yet about this airport. It's the I got the scenery of the gateway, which means that it's pretty much the standard scenery for Memphis. And the aircraft in X-Plane, when you have default aircraft, they never really match with what you would expect at the airport, because this is a huge FedEx hub, which is why I'm flying FedEx, and there shouldn't be a UPS airplane at the FedEx stands. Neither should there be an ABX there. The fact that they're cargo is already a thing that makes sense. I think that is something that X-Plane can do, is determine the difference between a cargo airplane and a passenger airplane. So we are on Victor right now. See, this looks like this is 8 Echo. Then we're gonna approach 7 Whiskey and 7 Echo, which should be this. Then it will be Victor straight along until we get to 6 Echo at Victor 2 and then Victor 1, which is our holding point for the runway. So today I'm not using any ATC, since the default ATC in X-Plane is pretty useless for what I'm trying to do here. They never get you to fly any approaches, or yeah, they're quite annoying, to be honest, if you don't follow exactly what they tell you, and they never tell you to descend on time and stuff like that. I haven't had any good experiences with it yet, so I'm not using it, and I'm not flying online since streaming is already a load enough for my internet, and I don't want to be flying online as well. It's also taking away some frames that would be nice to see in the stream. I'm gonna get a little bit more power because we're taxiing quite slowly. So for gear today, I am using a Thrustmaster TCA side stick for both my pitch controls, roll controls, and my nose wheel tiller. Then for throttles, I am using the Thrustmaster TCA throttle quadrant, which is really nice. I have the engine master. It's made for Airbus, but I have the engine master switches mapped to the fuel cutoff switches here. And then for rudder pedals, I'm using the Thrustmaster standard rudder pedals. It's the basic model that they have, and I'm actually quite happy about this. Everything that I have for flying gear now is Thrustmaster, but this I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just like their products at the moment, and they're not the most expensive, so I actually can afford them. I'd rather have a Honeycomb, Alpha Yoke, and Bravo flight controls for flying the 7.6, of course. But for the Airbus, everything is really, when I'm flying the Tolus A321, it really works out really well with the flight controls of Thrustmaster that they brought out. Yeah, so I don't really know what else there is to say. Looks like we have a FMS message that we have insufficient fuel, which can't be true since I checked it all. Our minimum takeoff fuel for today is 20.3 tons, and we have 24.3, so we are 4 tons over. Yeah, which is basically all of the fuel that I took extra. And now we're approaching, this is Victor 2 and then Victor 1 right there, because we're gonna be taking full length on the runway since we're a heavy bird. Okay. So before takeoff checklists. So this assumes that we have been cleared. To enter the runway, actually. So let's say line up and wait, runway 27, Fedex 402. So line up and wait means taxi light comes off, white anti-collision light comes on, landing lights all on, transponder, TARA, and auto brake is RTO. And that's checklist complete. So let's get it going through. This is Victor 1. It looks like it's not really designed for doing what I'm doing right now. Although the chart doesn't say it like this, means that I can. So right now I have the departures chart going up. And since there isn't any ATC that's gonna give us vectors, I'm gonna take off, fly straight out, and then go direct to Weston waypoint, which is the procedure for what I'm doing now. So runway 27, there it is. Let's get the engines spooled up to about 50%. On the center line, takeoff, toga. So if N1, airspeed is alive, thrust set, 80 knots. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. No lights. Past 1,000 feet. So go autopilot on. You go. Oh. Let's help it a bit there. So we want VNAV up. I don't know what it did with altitude hold there. So this was a bit unsafe. Let's go flaps 5. Okay, and then go direct to intersection, Weston, direct to, and we're on LNAV, so we're direct Weston now. And that would be departure FedEx 402, passing altitude 2,700 feet, climbing to altitude 5,000 feet, direct Weston. Flaps 1. And get this light as required. Flaps up. Let's imagine they gave us climb to flight level 340, FedEx 402. is set. And I go after takeoff checklists. Climbing cruise, so we're thrust, climb, weather radar. Oh, we're not really direct yet. Okay, I made a mistake there. I didn't press execute. That's a good thing to see. Just I noticed it because there was still execute lit up. Weather radar can come to weather. 5 degrees up in climb. Let's turn weather radar on. Because no reason actually. Let's turn this off. Don't need it at all. Landing lights are as required. No smoking and seatbelt signs. We're a cargo airline, so anyone in here should be smart enough to actually be seated when they don't need to be. When they need to be, and when they don't need to be about. That's what I was trying to say. And then our monitoring fuel flows. That's for the cruise. So the climb and cruise checklist is completed. So currently we are climbing through 7,000, through 8,000 feet almost, which means that we are approaching 10,000 feet, and at 10,000 feet these landing lights are gonna come off, and the airplane is gonna accelerate to its cruise climb speed. That's 10,000 feet. Our speed target has increased, and we're gonna turn off the landing lights. We're still gonna be climbing, but at a reduced rate, because we need to accelerate as well. And when you both climb and accelerate, they both have to be compromised a bit compared to what you would normally fly at. So currently, I have just a little bit of time to ask you guys how you are all doing today. I hope you're doing very, very nicely. I definitely had a good day, very productive. I've been busy with channel art for the entire day. Yeah, that's not true. I've been busy with channel art for a part of the day and doing a lot of lighting setup for my green screen and doing audio setup, which is why it was so complicated. Because I both have to have audio from the computer and my microphone all go through my interface and then into my video switcher. And I also would like to monitor the stream, so I have separate headphones to monitor the stream, and I'm also separately monitoring my own voice. It's all very complicated, and I've tried to get it done properly, which is quite difficult, to be honest. And I'm just trying to improve as much as I can. I'm sure that in a couple of streams it will be getting close to what I want it to be. Also, I'm thinking about streaming most days of the week and in the weekend if I can. For me, the rule is I'll probably be streaming if I could. If I don't, there's a very good reason for it. And it will, I don't know exact timing yet. It will be probably around 1900 Zulu time, which is UTC. Since that's when most people around the world could be watching. If I stream at certain other times, that would be more convenient. Where I live, it might not be as convenient for anyone else watching, but I'm not sure yet, so I still have to decide on this, all of this. Right now we are approaching Weston intersection, and Weston intersection is one of the final waypoints of our departure out of Memphis. There's really not much else to do except for monitor our climb. We have reached our speed that we are aiming for, which means that our vertical speed has increased again back to something more what we're expecting, about just over 2,000 feet per minute. Yeah. Airplane is really behaving nicely. And let's check our cabin altitude. So our cabin rate is slow and our cabin is actually climbing a bit, but there is a difference in pressure, so that means that our pressurization is definitely working. Right now we're approaching 18,000 feet, which means that we need to set standard baro on all three, which is 2,992 inches of mercury. In in other countries where they use metric, it's gonna be 1013 hectopascals. SI, not really metric, it's SI units. Okay, so that's the only thing that we had to do at 18,000 feet. All the lights are already off. That's just our transition altitude. And we are in standard now. We just passed Weston and we're heading to Duck Sea now. And then we can increase our range on our display in order to see that the next waypoint would be Club or Kilo Lima Uniform Bravo Bravo. It's right there. Which is the first part of our en route phase. Okay, as we just passed 32,000 feet, I turned on some music and we are ready to settle in for our long flight, which is not that long, all the way over to Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah. Hey there, welcome back. Currently we are passing Tucumcari, Tango Charlie Charlie. We're 3 miles away, so let's do a fuel check. 13.9 expected, 14.2 on board. We are 0.3 over, which is pretty much the same as we were on the previous fuel check. We have quite strong winds pushing us sideways. And let's see. So the next waypoint is Zuni. It's there. And before we get there, we would like to set up the approach. So we're going to departure arrival. And I'm gonna set up my display here for Navigraph. So we are expecting ILS runway 7 left. It was here. Okay. ILS 7 left. Avona transition. And the Eagle 6 arrival via Zulu Uniform November. All selected. And now active. So basically this enables the autopilot to start calculating a top of descent, which is why we get a we should get a before top of descent, a distance to top of descent marker. Aha, okay, I see why. There is still a discontinuity inside the route here, the legs. So, basically this one is in here twice. So we want to go direct to this one now, because if I delete one of them, it's gonna be a bit of a mess. So direct intersection, direct zone. Up here, activate. There's still a discontinuity. So I want to delete this, get this up here. So now it's normal. Yeah. And let's check that the altitude restrictions are actually there. So, let's see. Tinnis should be 330 or below, which it is. Then peso, which is actually Payson, should be between 300 and 240. And we're gonna be between there. Eagle is 180 or above. Homer 17,000 or below, which we have. Bothex is gonna be between 13 and 14,000, which we will be. Gino between 11 and 12,000, which we will be. And Queenie at 1,000, which we will be. Then Henny at 7,000, Obase at 7,000. Then there's a discontinuity again, but we're gonna go direct Avona, because we will program that. We'll probably vector ourselves a bit differently, but I like to have something set up that will get us to the approach, even though it's not what we're gonna exactly fly. And then for the approach, the altitude restrictions, let's go over those. So Avona, let's see what altitude they want us at. There isn't really something there, we just need to be at this one at 4,000 or above, which it says. And then Foul at 4,000, Zynga at 2,600. And then the descent is following the ILS from Zynga is the final approach fix. And then missed approach is climbing up to 5,000 and holding at the Phoenix VR, which is right there. So this is all as expected. Huh, what's there to... Ah yeah, okay. So I made some route changes here as well. And I want to execute those. So that means that this is all done. Okay. and I will be back with some more commentary once we set up for the approach, for the descent first, and then the approach. Ladies and gentlemen, hello there. This is 2-4 flying again, as we are just turning at Zulu Uniform November, or Zuni Vortec, or VRTME. Yeah, we have began the Eagle 6 arrival into Phoenix, and all the excitement is about to start. Our top of descent is in about, let's say, 60 miles. 60 nautical miles. We'll start our descent first initially to the initial approach fix and then do our approach. So as we get our descent preparation going, I'm gonna go check out what my descent checks are. So descent checklist. My landing altitude is set. ICAS messages. Recall. Nothing shows. Arrival. Let's check if everything is in here. If you go to departure arrivals, so we have 7 left active, Avrona active, Eagle 6 active. Yeah, this is all active, so let's do this again just to be sure because there weren't any more. Anyway, this is all active and checked. Radios. So we're not doing any radio work in terms of communication frequencies, but since we are flying the ILS, I'm gonna go over to my ILS approach chart on Navigras, and then I'm gonna set up the ILS frequency into the ILS box here. So the ILS frequency is 111.5. So we select 111.5, and the final approach course is 078 degrees. So we set up 078 degrees. All set. Then go back to our there's a discontinuity alert. Let's deal with this first. We want to go direct to this. So get rid of this first. Get this in here to direct to execute. Okay, so I made a slight mistake by resetting it after we already passed. I'll remember not to do this again. So now we're going to dojo, slider, dinners, which is what we need. So it's dojo, slider, tennis, peso, eagle, homer, botex, genome, greenie, hiney, and obese, and then we land. Follow the approach. Okay, so that's all in here. Okay, I accidentally applied some trim, so time of the accident. Okay, and we get out of direct 2, we get to init ref, and we set our approach ref. So we are going to land flaps 30, which gives us a speed of 144 knots as a VREF. Going to enter it and click here on this line select key to have it in our scratchpad. Go over to flap/speed, so it's 30/143. VREF is also entered. Decision height. I go back, look at my approach plate. My approach plate says for our... We are doing the ILS, full ILS with full lighting. Gives us minima of 210 feet in height. So radio altimeter goes 210. There you see 210 is set. And auto brake. Gonna go over to the airport diagram, see what we're gonna land. We probably just want auto brakes on 1 or 2. I'm gonna select 2 because anything more would be just a waste of brakes, and we're gonna have to... Yeah, the sooner we get off the runway the better, because the taxiway that gets us the best way over to our cargo stand, those are all rather soon. So auto brake is set to 2. That means our descent checklist is completed, and that means that the aircraft is ready to descend with us. Get the approach checklist ready, but that's not applicable yet. So as we're approaching our top of descent, we're gonna get a FMS message pretty soon. Normally you would see it here. Now it doesn't work. However, it will tell us to reset our altitude. So that means that we were gonna reset this MCP altitude here to the lowest we can go, which is in fact our initial approach fix. And Avona being our initial approach fix, it will be 4,000, which is what we'll set up there. There it is, reset MCP altitude, clear the message, and we're doing that right now. Setting it down to 4,000 feet. In a real life situation, you would have to be cleared for this. However, we don't have any air traffic control here with us. So let's assume that we are cleared to descend at our own discretion, following the approach. So this is not really realistic. You would be told to level off sooner. Probably they give you clearances of they give you multiple clearances and not just let you descend all the way down. However, that's what we're doing today, because there is no one to tell us when we should descend except for ourselves. Normally when you're flying, you should always try to follow along your track with your heading bug. Just in case something would fail, it would be quick to get this here. So, we're approaching our top of descent very quickly. Okay, this is all set up. Descent checklists are completed. We are currently starting our descent. Let's get our fasten seatbelt sign back on. Okay, let's get some more sounds from the airplane. As we're descending, it's very important to monitor our altitude. The Phoenix area has some terrain, so I'm gonna turn on my terrain. First, it's gonna do a test. You see all the colors. It works. Okay, we can nicely see our terrain picture here. Just past it. Now we're tracking towards space, so units was at or below 330. Peso will be between flight level 300 and 240. So as long as we don't descend below 240, we should be fine, because this is 300 going up right now. And once we get past Eagle, most of the higher terrain will be behind us. Once we get past Homer, and we're entering the valley in which Phoenix is located, so then terrain concerns are less of an issue. Although there's still some high terrain in the area. That's why our go around takes us all the way up to 5,000 feet. So right now we're overhead Peso and turning towards Eagle. See some mountainous areas here. And then beyond the Phoenix Valley. Coming through our descent nicely. Next waypoint, Eagle, should be at or above flight level 180. And 180 on 18,000 feet is going to be our transition level. At 18,000 feet, we are going to select our barometric pressure. And to get that, I'm going to get the Phoenix weather. So Phoenix weather currently is showing me winds calm, 10 statute miles or more visibility. Clouds are few at 25,000 feet. Temperature 24, dew point -11. I don't see any clouds here anymore, so I'm gonna turn clouds here. Altimeter 299.8. And the forecast doesn't really make it any worse. So I have that in mind. As we descend through the transition level, I'm going to switch. So for anyone just joining in, I'd like to let you know that we are in our descent from Memphis on our way to Phoenix. We left Memphis about 3 hours ago, and we are in our descent phase on our way to Phoenix. So we are doing the Eagle 6 arrival for a ILS runway 07 left in Phoenix. And we are flying the Flightfactor 767, flying Fedex flight 402. So welcome on board. Passing through 22,000 feet. Everything is still looking nicely. I'm going to increase the range on my display, since we are getting into the busy area. We just passed Eagle, so next is going to be Homer at 17,000 or below. So it's important that we get below 17,000 before we get to Homer. As this is all happening, our speed is also being managed. So I didn't mention this yet, but at Eagle we were at 260 knots, and at Homer they want us to be at 250 knots. So you can see in our flight plan here, in our route, the speed is also indicated. So the flight computer knows which speed we need at what point, which means that before we get to Homer, the aircraft is going to slow down 250 knots. Approaching 18,000 feet, I am going to switch to standard direction to the local QNH of Phoenix, which is 2998 inches of mercury. So 2998 set, 2998 on my standby, and then the first officer instrument 2998, which equals a QNH of 1015. So this is set up as we descend through 18,000 feet. So it looks like we're gonna make Homer below 17,000 feet as the star requires. If we wouldn't, you'd probably get a FMC message pop up here saying drag required, in which case I would deploy some speed brake. And the speed brake would deploy on the wing. It's a small flap that deploys on both wings. Separating airflow at the top. Difficult way of saying that you slow down in the air. We're at Homer, below 17,000, direct Bontex now. And we want Bontex between 13 and 14,000 feet. We have an FMC message, drag required, as I was saying. I'm going to clear the message, and I am going to give it a bit of drag. Because we're not at our speed, that's why. Now keep a close eye on if any engine power is added. I'm gonna reset the speed brake. There it is. Definitely don't need power added while on speed brakes. It's like pressing the accelerator and the brake at the same time. You're just wasting fuel by doing something like that. Passing through 15,500 feet, I am going to give an approach briefing. So our approach today is going to be the ILS runway 7 left at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. With MSA, the highest MSA being 6,200 in the northeastern sector of the approach. Our frequencies are set as required. We have a glide slope check at Singa 2,600. Our minimas are 210 feet above the ground. Visibility required is half a statute mile. We have 10 or more, so no approach band is in force. And our missed approach will be climbing to 5,000 feet, then left turn direct to Papa X-Ray Romeo VOR and hold or as directed by ATC. So that's approach briefing completed. As the approach briefing is completed now, I'm gonna check that we are at our altitude that we want, because we're at context now. We are in between 14,000 and 13,000. Now we need Geno is our next waypoint between 11 and 12,000 feet. And our speed would have to be 230 knots by then, so we're probably gonna need some some speed brake once we get there. Yeah, basically that's it. I am completely ready for this approach. Okay, just messed up. Let's get... Okay, I messed up by trying to reset this. It's all activated. Get direct to... What's the next waypoint? Is Queenie. We want to be direct to direct enter. Get dragon here. Queenie Honey obeys. Get rid of those vectors as well. We want So right now this looks better. Okay, I have the simulator being a bit of a tricky pony because of all the FMC changes that it's doing. Okay, there it is again. Much better. Next, so we're now in tiny 7,000 means to be. Then it's tiny obase Avona for the approach. Avona foul Singa and then runway. Okay, this makes more sense. Okay, I messed up there a little bit because I don't really know how this FMS or the CDU system, the flight management system, works in the 76 that well. So apparently you don't just change it after you're already flying it, and it makes a lot of sense that you would never ever do something like that. But yeah, I did, and yeah, screw it up a little. So my frames are doing awfully again. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's really not helping what it's doing now. Okay, let's go outside, try to get some better ones. Okay, it's really struggling with something. I don't know. I guess that happens sometimes. And after we hit obase, I'm going to go get vectored straight out. So let's make that about a 2.7. What is it? About 260. The radar vector heading that we're gonna expect. Yeah, that's about right. And once we get at obase at 7,000, so we're now wanting to be in tiny at tiny or whatever you pronounce it, like at 7,000, and then we maintain 7,000. And then they, at obase, they clear us a descent to 4,000. And just wait a little bit, make the turn in, and then ILS for the landing. So it's giving me the drag required message again. Don't think that much drag is required though, since we are leveling off pretty soon. Get some drag in there. Oh, what is going on? It's descending like a brick. And it's really finally starting to run smoothly again. Okay, I'm happy now. Makes it look a lot better. Let's see. We're below our flap speed, and we are getting pretty close. So once I start radar vectoring, I'll select flaps 1. Okay, we want radar heading now. Didn't see we were that close yet. Okay, and then speed is checked, flaps 1. Selected. Now we're descending to 4,000, and we shouldn't get any lower until we hit foul. Nice look around the Phoenix Valley before we get to land. Okay. And let's get this music off. Okay, full focus now. Bring this baby on the ground. Okay, make a left turn heading 170. And select speed of 200 knots for the flaps. Let's turn left heading 125 to intercept the ILS. I have my approach plate ready. And we are on our intercept course. Let's arm approach. All autopilots are on. We have 400 feet to go for the descent. Leveling off. Localizer. Okay, speed is checked, flaps 5. Maintaining 4,000. Now we do have the runway inside, but we're still flying the ILS. Select glide slope. Oh, we're on the glide and we don't need to be on the glide. But if we are right, this doesn't matter because we just have to be on the glide at Singa at 2600. Slow down to the next flap speed. So to slow down, we'll go gear down. Oh, from my landing lines. That's all fine. Speed brake is armed. We can go flaps 15. Okay, we're land 3 now. I'm very late with my flaps today. 1000. We are stable. But very, very fast. Okay, let's try to make this a proper landing anyway.
500.
Hey, you know what? We're going around. I'm trying to do this very professionally. This is definitely not a stable approach. We are going around. You can go flaps 15. Our go around. Let's climb to 5,000 feet, then left. However, we are going to give ourselves vectors for another try on runway 7 left today. So my energy management was really bad. That's what we're gonna get out of this. I'm gonna go flaps 5. Thousand feet to go. Flaps go up. Flaps 1 correction, and then up. Now we're gonna go heading 170. And get the autopilot on. Nicely in trim, but to level off. That's when you want to give it to the autopilot, when you're nicely in trim. And let's turn in to we're heading off 260, which is a downwind leg for runway 7. And yeah, you might think if you look at the numbers that's not true, but it's more 8080, it's 078. So yeah, we could technically do 258 as a heading. So that's, yeah, why not? So yeah, I think having all of the issues with the frame rate just before landing, I wasn't really in the landing setup. I was more mentally busy with trying to fly. Doing the sim instead of trying to fly, actually, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, really all my fault. Just wasn't stable, so we're doing it again. And then, do I try again? To get this in there. Yeah, then at least I have a picture and the next missed approach if I want to know. Okay, this time we're gonna aim to intercept at FAL, be at 4,000 feet, flaps 5, that I actually have some capacity to slow down. So we're gonna start energy managing right now, slowing it down to 210. You see the pitch attitude increase since we're slowing down drastically. So I'm gonna go flaps 1. Speed is checked, flaps go on. Select flap lever 1 and then we keep an eye on the flap gauge to see if it actually is selecting 1. And we have 1 indicating. Also our flap speed bug has moved down and we're gonna slow down till 200 knots to match that flap speed bug. This means that at any time we want, we can select the next flap now. So this final approach is very short. Although even FAL is 11 miles from Phoenix, but if you're fast, it doesn't take a long time to travel that distance. We're coming up a beam FAL there. And it was because I leveled off at FAL at 4,000 for too long, and I should have descended immediately to 2,600, which is the platform altitude for this approach. So let's get down to 4,000 already. Feet a minute, plenty. And then as we're passing FAL, I'm gonna wait till we get a little bit lower still. Now I'm gonna make a right turn for base leg. I'm heading 348 then, to be perfectly precise. And definitely to stay away from those big mountains which I'm descending into.
Terrain.
Okay, we have terrain warning. I don't see any, and it's a caution, so it's fine. It's because I'm vectoring myself. I can't see and do everything at the same time. Let's try to get a little bit closer to have the heading set up. For the intercept is gonna be about 033. Yeah. This should be fine. And then we're gonna arm approach. Once we get to FAL, immediately descend to altitude 2,600 feet quite rapidly. Just not to make the same mistake again, I think I want to go flaps 15, flaps 5 already now, yeah, for sure. Okay, I thought I was already at 5. Judgment call mistaken, so I'm gonna go flaps 5. At flaps 5, reset the speed. Let's make it 160, and we can get flaps 15 in immediately as well. And let's make this a better intercept angle. To help the airplane. Okay, we have localizer. We're gonna go flaps 15. Then set up 2600. There it is. Yeah, we're on the glide slope already. Let's go. Okay. And it's geared down. And we can go flaps 20. Ref speed was 144. Let's aim for that. Okay, 2500, so flaps 25. Speed is checked, flaps 25. And flaps full. 2000. And just for the funs, I am going to disconnect the autopilot and hand fly the rest of the approach here, because I'm feeling a lot more established now. We're on our speed, on our glide, on our localizer, gears down, 3 green, flaps are full, and we are clear to land. So autopilot disconnect. Remember that I'm flying now. I'll go auto throttle off. manually fly with the throttles as well. We're getting slightly low. Give it a bit power. And pitching up a bit more.
1,000.
We are stable now. Continuing. Arresting the descent rate slightly to get back completely on the glide slope. This would be unstable, but it's not
Light
really.
slope.
Yeah, it's going it out for me. Slightly slow as well. Okay, getting back on there, on the puppies now. Back to our approach power setting. Okay, don't make the same mistake twice.
500.
Slightly slow.
Minimums.
Landing.
$100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Going reversals on both. Okay. Alright, okay, auto brakes manual and reversers idle. And the ground steering isn't really nice though. Okay, let's vacate the runway. Okay, let's look at the airport diagram. This is Golf 7. Okay, if you cross Golf 7, we have Hotel 7, so cross Golf 7, taxi Hotel 7, hotel to the ramp. And then we go landing lights on, off. Taxi light on. Get some power in because we're crossing an active runway. Okay, actually pretty happy with this landing. Apart from getting a little bit unstable on the approach, I think I pulled off the landing, and the rollout was horrible. I wasn't using rudder that much, and when it was just to correct the strange yaw that was happening. I think there was some reverser imbalance or something with my setup being like this. So after landing checklist could come up. Let's start our APU. And taxi to the cargo ramp. First of all, we'll pass by the Arizona National Guard, which has some nice airplanes parked out in front. We are on run, so we go back to on. Okay, it's still running. Established lights are set, flaps is up, and why is APU gen off? That's on, okay, that's fine. And transponder goes to standby. So after landing checklist complete, shutdown is standby. Look at that. Oh, I know what's going on. So, ever since I got the Thrustmaster throttle quadrant, actually it was a gift from my mother-in-law. Ever since I got this, it has a input for my rudder pedals as well, but occasionally they tend to wrongly read hard deflection to either left or right, which is causing me to have some steering issues on the ground. In the air I've never had any issues with it, I don't know why, but on the ground I've had some issues. Let's wait until we have the big ramp and then we taxi in. My Fedex friends. All the nice goods and you guys as passengers are all safely in Phoenix now, where the weather is nice and warm and it's always sunshine. We will take this stand to park. And turn off my nose lights, not to blind him or her, whoever is working at our stand today. Let's line it up perfectly on the spot, of course. Yeah, this is fine. I'm happy with this. Set the parking brake, shutdown checklist. Electrical power is coming from the APU, which is fine. And fuel control switches come off. And seat belts off. Then center air pumps off. Left electric pump off. And right comes off. Fuel pumps all off. Lights off. And the flight directors both off. Ask them to place the chocks. So let's ask them to put everything down here. Like this. And we can unlock the flight deck door, get out of here, and in fact, open all the doors. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Phoenix. I hope you enjoyed this flight today. All that's left for me to do now is watch some replays of what we did. So that's what we're gonna set up right now. First of all, this replay is of our first approach. You see that we're absolutely not configured for what we were gonna do. We get closer, I'll slow it down. We're coming in high, we're coming in fast. Not that high, but especially very fast. We only just got our gear down and everything. So then too low even, because at 1,000 we should have been stable. But the decision was made to go around. As you can see, go around thrust is selected, pitch attitude is increased, and we are going around. Gear comes up. For a landing for the second time. Looks like my flaps aren't deployed anymore. I think that's a replay thing because I definitely was at full flaps. Then flaring and then floating a little bit and then touching down. That the flaps aren't displayed properly. See? Flat float and then down on the ground. Go through over the parking lot. Look for another. Okay, so all my flight controls are not what they should be. I think next time I should not shut down everything and before I watch the replay. That is all we need in terms of replays today. Well, let me get summarizing. I would like to wish you all a pleasant rest of your day. I hope you really enjoyed watching me try to fly the Boeing 767 made by Flightfactor or Explain. And thank you very much for watching. If you did like it, please leave a like. If you want to see more of this, you can consider subscribing to the channel and sharing to one of your friends maybe. Well, anyway, let's wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.